Signed last summer to Loosegroove Records, Tigercub has 2 albums under their belt and are dropping a third June 2nd called Perfume of Decay. And I've got radio host, music historian, lead singer, and wicked guitarist Jamie Hall joining me. You're on tour across the States. Any chance you're coming to Canada anytime soon?
We would love to come back to Canada. We were lucky enough to get out to Vancouver. I think we played Edmonton and Calgary with Clutch this time last year, and we absolutely loved it, and we can't wait to get back. It seems like we have a fan base out there. People keep messaging us on Instagram and different things and asking us to come out to Canada and play, so, you know, ask and you shall receive.
So I just got done listening to Swoon for the 11th time today, and I can't believe that there are only 3 of you in Tigercub. So you've got James on drums and Jimmy and yourself. But I mean, the first part where it kicks in after you sing Swoon, it sounds like there is a wall of guitars.
Yeah.
Are you doing that with one guitar?
Yeah. So there's a piece of equipment that I've got which allows me to, I don't want to get too nerdy, but it's sort of like a whammy pedal, and I can set parameters so that I can split my guitar signal multiple times and get the signal to do different things each time, so I can give the effect of multiple guitars. I've spent like my entire career in a band trying to make one guitar sound like 5, so I'm always coming up with little schemes and tricks to try and add weight and intensity to the guitars.
I love the schemes and tricks that you have pulled out on this album. I was reading that you covered James Alex, your drummer, in Heavy Chains from the Hardware Store to add a different sound.
Yes, so as a producer, I am always looking for texture. I like things that can rhythmically sort of have nothing to do with the track and just sort of like sizzle on top and just create this kind of static texture. That's the best word for it, right? I'll crumple paper just at a mic for about a minute, and you'll just sort of tuck that into the mix somewhere. And it's the sort of thing where you don't notice it, but when you take it away, perceivably to the listener, you're like, oh, something's different now. Do you know what I mean? Like you cancel it out, and then when you remove that and there is some silence where that noise once was, that's actually like quite a useful dynamic tool to use. So with the same thought process applied to Jalix, our drummer, you know, this record's heavy, it's industrial, and we call them in England, they're called B&Q, the major sort of hardware store. I know it's Home Depot in the States.
Right.
Yeah, so we went out and bought some chains, we got a beer keg, just as a little cap to Slipknot. Yeah, James, whilst he's drumming, if you listen, there's light twinkling, almost like wind chimes, that are just ambiently doing their thing in the background of all of the drum takes, because that sound was being captured by all of the mics in the room that he was playing in. And I guess that's just like a taste of like the sample of like the depth that we went into on this record. You know, we slaved over sounds, and I wanted to put the detail into these recordings so that, you know, not only are the songs the strongest I could possibly have written them, but the way they're presented is almost like it's this extra dimension now, you know.
Another trick that you used is when you were screaming. You weren't actually screaming on this album.
No. So I like to do this thing where, like, if you really distort a piece of equipment, like a preamp or something like that, and then you whisper into it, it has the same intensity and aggression of a scream. I just thought that was a really interesting device in itself. You know, how, like, you can make a whisper sound like the complete opposite of a whisper. You can go from the absolute quietest to the loudest. So, yeah, there's a lot of that on there. The vocals in general are hushed by candlelight. I was listening to a lot of Elliott Smith, and I wanted to just drizzle these really soft, like, blissed out vocals on top of, like, the most crushing, heavy instrumental that you could possibly make, right? It was just really in keeping with the theme, and like the themes of the Perfume of Decay, it's all kind of about opposites and counterpoints, you know, like in itself, the title, The Perfume of Decay, is oxymoronic,
right?
You know, and so this whole record was just the pursuit of that, opposites. How can we make opposites fit together?
And so is this going to translate, like, are you going to be whispering those screams on stage when you perform these songs live?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, totally. There's always a way. But it'll still be intense. You know, it won't be apologetic or shy. It'll be in your face. And, our live shows, the songs kind of take on a life of their own. They're almost like constantly evolving and in motion. And we like to play with our songs quite a lot live and just offer people that come to see us just something that's just a little bit different to what they've heard on the record. Obviously, like, at the same time, staying as true as possible as we can to the original recordings. But I would say we're a lot heavier and more aggressive live.
Oh, really?
It's a lot more raw. A dirty rock show, yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to see it. You're going to be pretty close to us at Pine Knob. I'm hoping to get to that show. I'm really dying to hear the song Show Me My Maker. It hasn't been released yet, but when the album comes out, that's the first thing I'm clicking on. So is that inspired by Chopin and then drums, John Bonham?
Yeah, I mean, John Bonham is God to us. And, James, our drummer, he has, a whole varied, palette of influences. Big fan of Stuart Copeland, different drummers like that. And Stella from Warpaint, like, it's such a deep pool that he dips into. And like Abe Cunningham and stuff like that. But I know we all love Led Zeppelin. And we all think, John Bonham is the greatest drummer there's ever been. So we're always looking at that. And as well, not to get too carried away, but John Bonham, like Custard Pie and When the Levee Breaks, they're sampled a lot in a lot of trip hop and a lot of hip hop that we like as well. So, it carries over even there, like when you go back to like an old Portishead record or like a Massive Attack record, you're like, oh, it's a Zeppelin beat. So I think Bonham's just legacy is just so massive. But yeah, the drums definitely, it's got that kind of Bonham shuffle to it. And then, the guitars are just crazy. It's so hard to play live. There's so many notes.
The song Play My Favorite Song, the end of that song was crazy to me. I had to stop what I was doing and just sit and listen to everything that was going on.
Yeah,
it sounded like there was 5 guitars, but there was some lead and some chords in there, and it's really cool. I can't wait to hear the whole thing. I'm so glad you
like it. Well, on that note, I just have to give a shout out to our bass player, Jimmy, because, he treats his bass guitar like a guitar in itself. So it is kind of like having a rhythm player in the band with me when I've got Jimmy there with all of his fuzz pedals and the way he abuses his amps. So, got to give props to him.
You guys had them cranked up to 11, I hear.
Yeah, we went full Spinal Tap. Nigel Tufnell, we did it. Yeah, we actually did, though. I've always avoided, as a guitarist, like the classic guitar staples, like a Gibson Les Paul into a Marshall. And then this time around, I was like, look, I'm just going to try this. I'm just going to try this to see what it does. And I plugged in an old 80s Gibson Les Paul into a Marshall JCM 800, and it was cranked everything on 10. It didn't go to 11, but if it did, it would have been great because it would have been one louder.
Yeah.
But man, it sounded so good. I was like, I totally understand why everyone does this. It's immediately there. This sounds the best. So yeah, we did some rock and roll staples on this record, as well as throw the rule book completely out the window. It was just a very free session. We just felt like unrestrained, and we could do whatever we want. No rules.
And you did all the writing on this.
Yes.
And you wrote them all in the dark for this album? Like when it was dark out?
Yeah. Well, so it's like a nighttime record. So yeah, like a lot of the recording of the vocals took place at night. Thematically, I was just trying to capture like this sort of liminal time where you're in bed and like you're kind of trapped there and you're really safe and you're about to go to sleep. But also sometimes, a lot of thoughts come into my head and I toss and turn and worry about things that are coming up in my life or things that have just happened in my life. And it actually becomes this like claustrophobic space where I'm kind of trapped in it. So I was just trying to like capture what that feeling is to me and like hang some lyrics around that, So I like to call it a nighttime record. That's what it feels like to me, And again, it's like it opposes our second record, which was all about color.
Right.
Whereas this is dark, it's monochrome, it's all those things.
And this is your first album with Loosegroove Records.
Yes. So Loosegroove were keen. They actually wanted to get, as Blues Indigo, they wanted to buy that off my record label, which I released Tigercub's second album on. But in the end, they're just such huge supporters of music in general, and they want to elevate Tigercub. So yeah, they signed us for this record, and they're doing an absolutely fantastic job. Just a really great artist-led, artist-driven record label who want to make music big. It's been an absolute joy.
Well, that's owned by Pearl Jam's Stone Gossard, and you guys played with Pearl Jam last summer, didn't you?
Yes, yeah, we got put onto their Hyde Park show, which was amazing. Yeah, God, it was just so crazy. It just felt like we were plucked from the sky. I just got this email one day from Stone just saying, hey, I really like this. And then they were just all over us trying to get this deal done. And then, Stone starts... I checked my phone one day and it's like, you have a notification from Pearl Jam. And it's like, I click through, I'm like, what? And they're like sharing our stuff. And it's like, this is great. Everyone should listen to this. And we're like put in front of I think they've got like 5 million followers on like Facebook and Instagram. So it was like, already we were like, whoa. And then we got loads of followers and loads of people started to get in touch with us and stuff. And even that in itself, because, Pearl Jam they're one of the greatest and biggest bands of all time. Their visibility is just so huge, and to be lucky enough to get a little bit of that, it's just so gracious of them to elevate other artists when they don't have to do that at all. And Stone doesn't have to do that, but he chooses to, and it helps people like me and the boys do great things, like come out to America and make friends with everyone, basically. We see all of our fans as friends.
And you've had all of Pearl Jam's fans, the ones that were at those shows, see you. And that probably was huge because your music, it's awesome. As a Pearl Jam fan, I could say, I love it. And I'm so glad that I've been introduced to it. So Stone Gossard, to introduce that to his fans.
I'm so glad you like it.
This is definitely going to be one of my summer albums. And I think Foo Fighters, coming out the same day as yours. And you're going to be playing with the Foo Fighters, too, at the Louder Than Life in Louisville, Kentucky, September 21st. And Weezer, that's going to be awesome.
Yes, I think we might be opening the stage that the Foos are playing, which to us as, lifetime Foos fans, this is all just crazy. This is all like, pinch me. Because we, Pearl Jam, Foo Fighters, Queens of the all of these groups are groups that we have adored for our entire musical lives, so to be in the same space as them is going to be an honor.
So you have Stone Gossard, like he loves your music so much that he signed you to his label.
Yeah.
So he's been listening to you over and over, and he's Stone Gossard from Pearl Jam. Yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah. So cool, isn't it? I think so too. Yeah, it makes me happy. It really does. When you try hard at something and you want to be recognized for it, and you want people to see you. When you get a piece of that, it's an immensely satisfying feeling. So I just want to thank Stone for helping us out. It's been brilliant.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How did you meet the other two in your band?
So I moved to Brighton on the south coast of England when I was 18, and I met James, our drummer there. We were both studying at university, and then maybe 1 or 2 years later, Jimmy was always a friend of ours, but there was an opening for a bass player, and we brought Jimmy into the fold, and that was about 2013. So about 10 years ago now, which is quite crazy. And then from there, there's such a great music scene in Brighton. At the time, the bands that we were playing shows with were like Royal Blood, Yonica, and The Witches, and maybe some bands that you haven't heard of that are doing really great things, but there was a lot of bands that were getting national attention and going on nationwide tours, Blood Red Shoes as well. And Royal Blood heard our music just through a studio that we all go to in Brighton, which Jimmy actually runs. And they asked us to go out on tour of them in 2014 on their first ever tour. And we did that, became really close friends. And then from there, we got a record deal off the back of that. And then Blood Red Shoes signed us to their label, and we went on tour with them. And we just really organically found our way to where we are now, just through like goodwill, being nice guys, I guess, and like just being mates with bands. That really is it, and just trying to put out the best music we possibly can. That's been it for us, really. It's been hard. been stressful, but
you're making it through, and good things are happening to you. You're going to be touring the UK come October. You're going to be back across the pond, and Brighton's your first stop on October 20th.
Oh yeah, and our hometown shows are like, it's like WWE. It's terrifying. We actually, when we tour the UK, we bring out a tour therapist with us just to counsel us through the mosh pits that we've seen, because they're so crazy.
Really?
You know? Not really.
Oh my gosh!
I love
that
it.
Still happens.
No, it's just our shows go crazy, you know, and it's always a heap of fun. And there's, you know, because we've been around for a minute, a lot of our fans now are just our friends. It's like a school reunion,
right?
You know, when we go to Leeds or Bristol or whatever, we just get to hang out with our buddies again. So really looking forward to that. We are also coming back to America in September. And hopefully we will be hitting Canada as well. That remains to be seen at this minute, but we do have 3 or 4 festivals in September. I think we're doing the MMRBQ, Riff Festival in Detroit, and then we've got Aftershock Festival in California in October. So, you know, to all of the... All
and Louder Than Life.
You know, expect... And Louder Than Life as well. How could I forget the excellent Danny Wimmer Festival?
Great.
But yeah, we should be getting into Canada to hang out with everyone and have a good time, play some riffs.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I can't wait to hear your new album in its entirety, the songs that are out and on the digital platforms already. People, you need to listen to those before it drops on June 2nd with Loosegroove Records. Yeah. Thank you so much for taking the time with me. This has been a great chat, Jamie.
Pleasure. Thank you. I really appreciate you supporting the band. Thank you so much.